Hello, everybody. Big night, final debate night as we come on live on Politics Nation. My name is Samuel Chief. I'm here with Miss Angelic Woodens. Huge night in the world of politics. We finally got to see what many of us missed, right? From the
Right.
last time. This was so let's get right into it. Once again, we are live on Politics Nation. I'm here with my colleague Miss Angelique Woodens, and tonight was a much better debate in terms of tone, in terms of the candidates how they comported themselves. I mean, it got a little feisty every once in a while, but it was a much presidential tone, I think. What did you make of the overall tone? Let's start with that.
I actually agree with you. I was a little bit actually taken back at the tone because it's really not something that we're accustomed to with regards to Trump, right? So I actually really appreciated it. I felt like both were pretty professional and unlike the times before, even with the VPs, right? Remember, I always felt like left with no answers. I
Yeah,
actually feel very satisfied this time around, where I wish this would have set the tone in the beginning.
definitely. And speaking of satisfaction, I think I maybe because I came so I went into it with very low expectations. Given what we saw last time, I was like, I'm just going to take a look at what they have to say because nothing they're going to say tonight is going to change my mind in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, I already voted, so just putting it out there. I already voted, so nothing they said tonight was going to change anything. And I must say, I was really impressed as well by the tone and the conduct with which tonight was conducted. So let's talk a little bit about the moderator, Christian Walker of NBC News. How do you think she did?
I think that she did really well this time around. Um, I think that she was very articulate in her questions. I think that she did a really great job at like being firm, right, about the timing. But I also felt like, unlike times before, there was a lot more fairness, right? Where,
Absolutely, definitely.
okay, you're going to get your time to respond. And while it's timed, there's a response. I think that proved for a really like healthy debate.
Definitely. And I think she did a lot better than Chris Wallace. And hey, we gotta give it up to Chris, right? Because it's usually harder for everything when you have to go first, right? So
Right.
I think Chris Wallace, right from the get-go, with the shaky voice. Like it felt like it came through as there was an enormous amount of pressure on him, and it carried through the entire debate. He totally lost it. Like he couldn't control Trump, he couldn't control Biden. It was just a wreck from the get go. But I think, like you said, Christian Walker did a pretty amazing job. I felt in the beginning though, I felt like she was kind of going for the back and forth a lot. And here's what I mean, because there were times she will ask a question, and after a response had been given, she will go back to the next candidate and ask for more rebuttal. Okay, let's go to Trump. Uh, please respond. Let's go to Biden. And I felt like I don't know if she was trying to get them hyped to get into the back and forth again. I don't know if you caught what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying. Like, I think I came from like the perspective of maybe it was a tactic to better mitigate, right? Where fairness has long been in media, fairness and sides has been like the biggest argument. So I feel like, she's under a tremendous amount of pressure. And
Really.
you know, and this is literally the only real debate we've had. in my opinion.
Definitely, definitely. Well, in addition to the vice presidential debate, right? That was incredible too. And speaking of pressure, I mean, even prior to tonight, Trump was on the attack uh, of this particular woman, claiming that she's not going to be fair to him. The whole system is unfair to him, like he normally does.
Right.
He didn't even like the fact that they were going to be muting the microphones for uh,
Oh,
for for them to prevent what the the first debate like turned out to be. He didn't even like the fact that they were going to mute their microphones to prevent them from interrupting each other. So let's talk about some of the substantive issues. Was there anything in particular that you heard for the first time since we finally got to hear some substance? Was there anything of substance that really stood out to you?
actually, I want to say all of it was very, very relevant to us, right? I mean, if you look at it, sorry, I'm going back to my notes, don't mind me, but from the get go, it went on, from the get go, it started off with COVID and a response and vaccines. Um, some things that didn't surprise me, I think, in this debate is, you know, Biden Biden really tugs on people's heartstrings, right? He goes to the he's pleading to the people. And Trump is like, I hate to say it, but Trump did a much, like, if Trump could normally talk like this and take out all the other stuff, it would be much more appealing,
Mm,
right? Like, and the thing is like, but his response to COVID and how it's been, I mean, numbers are numbers, right? And
I mean, you can't pretend the numbers don't exist because these numbers, even though they may be statistics that anyone can show, they represent actual people and actual American families are actually dealing with these actual situations where their loved ones are dying in, I mean, the numbers are over 220,000 as we speak now. So
right,
all these 220,000 plus people have families, they have loved ones. And so sometimes I feel like it's very disrespectful for the president or any politician to kind of downplay it because these are like real. Because I think I saw on the news the other day, there is a particular gentleman that had lost about 9 people in his family, 9 of them. So if such a person is watching the debate or watching the news and hears any politician or the president, who, by the way, has contracted this disease and somehow has come out on the other side, right? He got
right,
the best treatment, he got the best care, he caught it with his wife and his 14-year-old son. And
Darren.
somehow, of course, because he is our president, he gets the priority, he gets the best care. So he comes out of it. And so you can just imagine how someone who is mourning the loss of their mom or their dad or their grandma or whoever it is, your loved one, you can imagine how they will feel if such a person uh, stands in front of a crowd and tells them, "Oh, there's nothing. These numbers are not even true, and COVID is going away, and it'll be over soon." And
Right,
you can understand the frustration in there, right?
right.
Definitely.
Well, and two, he, because he is the president, he gets sick. He gets to get a limo ride and a helicopter ride, a private one at that, to one of the top medical facilities.
In the
Whereas people like me who have friends, family, our own family was personally affected by it. You're literally told, don't go into the hospital and don't go to the doctor unless you're dead or dying. I mean, they don't say dead or dying, they say unless you can't breathe. unless you feel so bad that, right? So like we don't have that luxury here in America, regardless of the quality of health insurance that we have, which was covered later on in the debate, right?
So one of the topics of contention, and it's really hard for me on that particular one because and for the president in this particular instance, because his government is literally in the Supreme Court trying to strike down this uh, Affordable Care Act that provides insurance in the middle of a pandemic. In any other time, it would still be crazy to rip over 20 million people off their health insurance. But in the middle of a global pandemic, it's even more crazier, right? But
Right.
um, what do you think of the argument he's making about coming up with some plan down the line that so right now the focus is just getting rid of Obamacare. Let's get rid of it, and then
Right.
our plan will be rolled in at some point. What do you think of that?
I'm one of these very torn middle people that's affected directly, right? So I have a sister and her husband. And I mean, when Obamacare went into play, we were told that our premiums would go down, and mine skyrocketed. My
That's
husband skyrocketed. My brother-in-laws and my sisters, they went up and over, right? So the hope was like over time it would readjust,
mhm.
but it didn't. I mean, my brother-in-law makes 100 grand a year and he has no health insurance because it is so outrageous and the quality is so poor. And I know Obama, like his goal was to really eradicate all of those issues. But I think the bigger problem has to do with the insurance companies itself. So opposed to making it on the shoulders of these politicians, I think we as the people need to start making our politicians fight with the bigger companies, right? Because we are, my family in particular, we're well into the 6 digit figures. But I have two daughters with different special needs. I have one with a cardiologist, one with a pulmonologist. We pay $400 a month for our teenagers' mental health counseling appointment, just for that, a month. So, like, well, I know the goal was big and the hope was to resolve these things. It only resolved it for the really far left and right, but the people in the middle, I mean, we spent 23,000 in medical bills alone last year.
insane.
That's not including our deductible. So I think it's just such a convoluted idea. I think it's got so much information. I don't know any of the answers. All I know is what I see in difference and what we pay. And I can't complain. Our daughters go to Stanford Health. Our daughters have the top cardiologist and the pulmonologist. Every surgery has been at a top medical facility. Can't complain. But
That,
again, if you're making, 120 grand, but you can only write off so much, like I think, and that's just one of those really difficult topics where these pharmaceutical companies are getting millions and billions and trillions of dollars for CEOs and people who don't really do anything. And like, I really hope that like that's something that we could come together as like, okay, we could agree, like
that's
it's not a Democrat or a Republican issue.
Republican issue because it is an American issue. You are right about that. And so we are still live on Politics Nation. We This is the post-presidential debate reactions by myself, Samuel Lapiet Denchi, and my able colleague, Miss Angelique Williams. And this is a pretty exciting night in terms of politics. We are still about 12 days to the general elections. A lot of
Yeah.
people, including myself, have voted. And so please go out there and vote if you haven't. It's crazy. Speaking of voting, I saw a picture yesterday on social media of people standing in the rain, like people are in line and it was raining. A whole bunch of them didn't even have umbrellas or anything, and they stood in the rain. This is like insane. I haven't seen anything like that. And they were just kicking it in the rain, like, hey, rain or shine, we're going to vote. And I
Yeah.
thought that was incredible. So
Yes.
one thing that really stood out to me tonight was the argument about red and blue states that the president kept making. He kept referencing democratic run cities as the blue states, democratic states, and they are worse. And look at New York, look at California, look at Pennsylvania. But in
Right.
stark contrast, which I think Biden did incredibly well, he made the case that we are the United States of America. There is no blue
Yeah.
state or red state. We are the United States of America. I don't know if that uh, was anything of excitement to you.
It is because really, overall, all I've wanted in all of this is unity. Is unity. We're not going to agree all the time. I mean, I honestly, like, I literally want people to vote. Whatever your core beliefs are, whatever, just vote. Like, instead of us all complaining, let's just vote, right?
Yep.
And I do want to see unity in this nation. We're all people. We're people of color. We come from all kinds of backgrounds and countries and nations, and we're here. And in California, we're so fortunate because we're literally a melting pot, right? Like,
It
it,
is,
which
you can find
other
every texture, every complexity of human beings here in California. That's one beautiful.
and we embrace each other, like, it, and it's all about love. It has nothing to do with, like, I see you for what you are. It's like, oh wait, where are you from? Like, a true, like, a caring of, like, one another. And I feel like we're people at the end of this, and I think as people, not only do we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our children, to our future generations, to say, okay, you know what? There was a certain time where we were fighting as a nation, but we decided for you guys that we're going to vote and we're going to be kind, no matter what our thoughts and beliefs are, and we'll try and work things out.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of the fights, these fights are necessary fights, right? I like how the late Congressman uh, Elijah Cummings, I think that's his name. No, the one from Atlanta, the one that just passed recently. Um, well, anyway, the one that talks about having getting in good trouble. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yes. So I think it's very necessary that we get into these types of fights, uh, air quotes fights, because that is what democracy is all about. Democracy is not about every one of us agreeing to the same thing. It's about coming together with different ideas and working it all together and coming up with the best of the best minds to problem solve. So that is what is needed. So it shouldn't be a left idea or a right idea. It should be where do we find commonality,
Right.
right? In
And
all,
trying to be better, right?
yeah,
The old way is not the new way. And we make mistakes, I think, as we all kind of learn growing up, right? You might make a mistake, but you learn from it and you grow from it and you're accountable for it. And I think that's something we also have to do better with, not go backwards.
definitely. Um, I wanted to talk to you about one thing I saw tonight, or the lack of it, I should say. I didn't see a plastic glass divide like we saw with the vice presidential debate. Now, given that Trump, our president, just recovered, that's what he's saying, so we're going to go with it. He's saying he recovered from COVID and somehow he may be even immune to it now. Given that, I mean, I know they announced that there's been a lot of precaution with this particular debate than they did last time. Was that concerning to you, given the age of these two individuals? I mean, they are both pretty old.
Right,
They are both in the very risky category, and one of these two gentlemen we saw tonight is going to be our president. And so,
right.
was that of a concern to you?
I think the bigger issue is how they hit it this time, right? Last time they made it like the VP one. They made it clear, right? They showed us all the shots. So this time they didn't show us that. So all we could do is really come to our own conclusions, right? And we also know where Trump and his administration stand on the face mask issue. So unfortunately, we never really find out the whole ramifications until after the fact. And I would, it's a stretch for me to say what I think for a certain part, but I would say
And
just because
I
I
just
got
find it who I
COVID.
was looking for, John Lewis.
Oh, okay.
Definitely John Lewis. Go ahead.
Yeah, just because, no, you're fine. Just because if you're going to presume that you're automatically immune, and we don't know the science, I mean, which he made relevant, like, I don't know. I mean, just based on actions, I am concerned, you know?
Well, that's what he is saying. So I guess we're going to go by what he's saying. He said he's immune. He says he's COVID free now. So we can only wish him the best and hope
Right.
all of that is true. I mean, just a few days ago, the first lady couldn't join him in Pennsylvania because she was still, according to the reports the White House put out, she was still having this lingering cough, which is symptoms of COVID. And so, if truly they've all tested positive now, was that just an isolated incident? We don't really know, but we can only wish the president and the first family um, a much safer and quicker response. So, as we are concluding, I know you took a lot of notes. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want the people out there to know from tonight's presidential debate?
I mean, the only two things that I really took away with overall was, Biden really went and just always referred back to all of Trump's own statements throughout COVID, right? And that was really kind of his tactic, I believe,
Mhm.
right? Of like, hey, let me remind you of all the things you've
And
said.
the same guy that said it's going to be over by Easter, he's the same guy that said it's going to be over when summer comes by. So, like, yeah, he kept bringing his own words to hunting. And that's what has been said by many experts that the president is, in many ways and many attempts, his own worst enemy because he keeps contradicting himself all the time. So,
And
you can really trust or really take anything he says literally. Now, a lot of the things he said in the past, like injecting of bleach, and after the backlash, now he's trying to downplay it and tell us that, oh, that was supposed to be comical, right? So it is what it is. Like he writes,
right.
it is what it is.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I hope everyone votes.
Very
I,
important. Very
I,
important.
I want to say, like, in my, lifetime of voting, which is over 20 years now, this is probably one of the most prevalent elections. I'm proud to see the numbers and the people and the diversity. I hope that we do have um, a, a way to really reconcile how our voting comes into play, right? Like, there's no reason people should be waiting for hours. This is America. This is democracy. So I don't care who ends up in office. I think we, the people, need to start demanding more. Where my grandma, who is 84 and wants to vote, and she doesn't trust mailing in her voting, she shouldn't have to sit there for 10 hours in the rain or 2 hours in the rain, right? Like, so I really do look forward to seeing, hopefully, more change for the positive, and I'm excited. I'm excited.
I am pretty excited too. I mean, with less than 2 weeks to go, and I'm actually volunteering to be a poll worker. I've been doing it for a couple of years now, so I'm pretty excited and kind of nervous as well, given that we are in COVID times. But I'm still pretty excited to be of service to my county and the people here as part of my civic duty. I see it. And so we are all pretty excited about this election. Hey, um, everyone has a chance at this, right? We know that it's going to be either President Trump for another 4 years or former Vice President Biden, who is
Yeah.
going to lead us for the next 4 years. So whatever it is that you feel as the American voter, you feel as the person watching us right now, whoever of these two you think should be running our country, please make your voice heard. And thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. We're really excited about the how things turned out this time round, right? It looked very presidential, and so like Miss Angelique said, I think ultimately unity is more important, right? Unity. Let's all remember that we are all American first before Democrat, Republican, or Independent. We are all Americans first. So let's um, dial down some of the rhetoric. Let's dial down some of the tension and all the chaos once everyone casts their vote. That's it. Let's support whoever wins and let's stay engaged in the process. Because I feel like as citizens, sometimes some of the mistakes we make is that once we cast our vote, that's it. We stay uh, very disconnected from the way the day-to-day running of the country goes until there is another election, and then we are back at the same spot again, right? So once we vote for these people, once we vote to put them in power, we should put pressure on them and demand the change that we voted them into office for. So that is our show. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for joining us on Politics Nation. My name once again is Samuel Apiadenchi and Miss Angelique Woodens. Thank you for tuning in. Until we come your way again, please stay safe and go out and vote, right?
Vote,
There you
vote.
go. There you go.
Pay attention to your locals. All right.